I would like to call the board of the Board of Trustees meeting for December 3rd, 2019. Will you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Welcome everybody this evening. Please make sure your cell phones are turned off or at least on to silent so that we don't have any unnecessary disruptions. May I have a roll call, please?
Trustee Chamberlain? Here. Trustee Clayton?
Here.
Trustee Goldstein? Trustee Haber?
Here.
Trustee Hollander?
Here.
Trustee Jamerson?
Here.
President Morris?
Here. We have a quorum. First item of business is approval of the Board of Trustees minutes from November 19th, 2019. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. The next item of business is the semi-annual review of unreleased executive session minutes for possible release. Village Clerk?
There were 4 meetings. One on 5/7 was a discussion regarding the landmark dividend purchase. On 5/21 was the discussion regarding Joanne DeLoss's increase in pay. On 6/4, another meeting regarding the landmark dividend purchase. And on 8/20, the real estate sale at Milwaukee and Deerfield Road regarding Thornton's.
Okay, it would appear that of those 4 items, the only one that needs to remain closed is the one discussing Joanne DeLoss. The others are contracts that have already come to fruition, or at least we've agreed on price, et cetera. So council, you agree on that as well? So I need a motion to release. I think we should do it on each one, or can we do this?
Does anyone have them in front of them before they?
No. Yeah, would you say, okay, the board would like to see them then? In that case, we will continue this to the next meeting. Please provide copies to the board on that. Just so that the public is aware, when we go into executive session, there are limited reasons why we can do it. One of which is to discuss contracts where we would be buying or selling something. I think you can imagine why we wouldn't want somebody we were negotiating with to know what our negotiating position would be as to price, et cetera. Those are the 3 sets of minutes that were from an executive session. We've reviewed now and said it's no longer necessary to keep those private, so those will be released. Another reason is we're talking about individual employees, which was the 4th reason that we were talking about.
John, I just want to point out to Bruce also that the board has approved all of these already.
The wording of the minutes themselves, but they haven't approved the release of them, so.
Exactly.
I'm just, if the board is interested in seeing what they were authorizing to release, that they don't have in front of them, if they think they know what they say already, they can vote.
And I will defer to the board. I wouldn't ask you to vote on something if you're uncomfortable on voting, because you don't know.
Okay.
I'm okay with one here, because let's, I'll make a motion
Okay.
that we release the minutes.
Put your speaker down.
I'm the one that's always calling them. I'll make a motion that we release the executive session minutes for those 3 meetings, which I don't have the dates for, and we'll accept them from you.
And that was for land 2 sessions on landmark realty. The second, or excuse me, the third then was with the real estate development company in relation to the sale of the property.
Second.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none. Okay, council advises me that for releasing executive session minutes, a roll call is more appropriate, so roll call, please.
Trustee Chamberlain?
Aye.
Trustee Clayton?
Aye.
Trustee Goldstein?
Aye.
Trustee Haber?
Aye.
Trustee Hollander?
Aye.
Trustee Jamerson?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Moving on the agenda, Director of Community Services.
No report.
Any questions for the Director of Community Services? Plan Commission report.
We will have a plan sorry.
David, we need to do it because it is very,
Yeah,
it's 60 business hours.
We'll have a meeting this Thursday, and the agenda item is discussing our amendment that reads what the definition of family size. So we're going to review that. And that is the only agenda item we have.
Any questions for the Chairman of the Plan Commission? All right, Treasurer's report. I don't think we have one this evening. We will be talking about the planning budget in a few moments. Consultants report, Walt Hamilton.
No report.
Village Attorney.
Just want to mention that we're still negotiating some of the aspects of the Thorns contract, which was referred to earlier, and I sent the red line to them, and they're promising that their red line back to me tomorrow. So I think we'll be pretty close on all of the issues, except probably how to handle street improvements, and we sort of talked about that, and we'll probably come back to the board with some concepts and thoughts about how to deal with street improvements in advance of what Lake County will be doing on River Road. I think they want to get a head start on some of that.
Any questions for the Attorney? Hearing none, police report.
I just wanted to let the board know that I had one officer make 5 DUI arrests between November 22nd and the 25th over that weekend. Sergeant George Putzberger. It's something that's unheard of, one officer to make 5 DUI arrests in one weekend. 2 nights he made 2, and another night he made 1. So that was pretty impressive and worth mentioning at the meeting. Additionally, on November 29th at 7:05 a.m., we took a report of a burglary in a motor vehicle outside of Orange Theory on Milwaukee. Window was broken out of the car while the person was inside, and a person was stolen. That's all. And plus the rest of the activity, which is in the things on the screen.
Any questions for the Chief? All right, hearing none. We're zooming through here. Now it's time for my comments where life is going to become a little less pleasant. The first item is our planning budget for 2020. As most of you know, and I know the board is fully aware, the Village of Riverwoods does not use a budgeting process for the approval of funds and expenditures. We use an appropriation ordinance which authorizes spending up to a certain limit, but then all expenditures still have to be approved by the board on an individual basis. Until 2013, we didn't have any type of budget, but at that point we instituted what we call a planning budget. This doesn't authorize the actual spending of funds, but it is a planning tool that allows us to track our revenue, track our expenses, and see where we're going. It allows us to look to the future, and if we have a shortfall of revenue, it allows us to prioritize spending on those years. It also allows the board to make informed decisions as to whether to increase taxes or to cover revenue shortfalls by drawing down on existing fund balances. That, unfortunately, is where we're looking this year. We have lost a significant amount of sales tax revenue in the last year and a half. It's somewhere in the vicinity of about $1 million, which on a $4 million budget, as you might imagine, leaves a very large revenue hole. We were in the black before, and we always had large surpluses, but they weren't large enough to cover the Finance, Bob Filipowski, will be presenting our projected budget for next year, and it does reflect a shortfall due primarily to this loss of sales tax that I'm referring to. We've also had a significant decline in revenue from the state excise tax. It's 35% below where it has historically been on average, and an even greater decline in relation to where it's been the last few years. Other communities have either had increases or decreases no larger than 5%. We don't know where that excise tax is. We are attempting to find out. That could be several $100,000 in and of itself as well. So that too helps plug some of these holes. As Bob will point out, we have enough money to continue without any problem for the coming year. It's not like we can't meet all of our obligations to do what we want. But prudence says that we cannot every year run a negative budget with a shortfall. And we don't see this shortfall going away anytime soon. We could sustain for quite some time, but that's not good management. I am calling for a committee of the whole meeting with the board in January or February, basically determine on when I can get all trustees here, so we can sit down and review the situation with what our options are, not so much for the coming year, but certainly after that, unless we see some changes. Hopefully we'll have a better feel for our revenue then. Just so you know how crazy it is, technically this year I have over $1 million surplus. That's because we sold a stream of revenue, but because it's unobligated, it has to all be reported as income this year instead of the normal $90,000 a year that the stream was. So we look real good this year, but we'll be falling $90,000 short in the coming years for 15 years because we made more money by selling it now. So there's a whole lot that goes into this. So with that, let me turn it over to Bob and let him spell out the exact numbers. Bob?
Not to repeat, I just want to quickly go through what our projected results for 2019 for the major funds are. As the mayor indicated, we did have the one-time revenue source, $1,288 and change. That's going to allow projection of a net surplus of income over expenditures of about $1,151,000 in general fund. There was an extraordinary capital expense of clearing these trees in the Village Hall property and the surrounding area of about $212,000. That was one of the, probably the only major expense that was unanticipated during the year. Certainly sufficient funds existed in the general fund for that. Otherwise, as I indicated, I think expenditures during the year of all the other areas did not exceed or were below budget, as were most of the other revenues. In the water fund, we have a positive cash flow projected of $216,000 for depreciation. Revenues and expenditures are slightly lower due to reduced usage because of the wet weather this year. Sewer fund is also in positive of $289,000 or so before depreciation. Both of these funds, neither of them had significant capital improvements this year, so typically we'll have a year or two where we go without any capital improvements, and then we'll have capital improvements in those funds, and that will result in an excess of expenditures over revenues, but we save that up before that. Looking ahead for 2020, budget revenues, as the mayor indicated, we've used a couple of sources that state and Illinois Municipal League project some of the revenue sources for us, MFT, income tax, usage tax. So those are based on those, their projections. Talking about some of the other revenues. As you might expect, last couple of years, we had some activity in the commercial area this year that went down. We project it will go down a little bit again next year, certainly below the area, the funding that we had like in 16 and 17. The sales tax, we're showing budget projections of about 16% lower. Again, as the mayor indicated, we've got some issues with the sales tax revenue significantly below what it used to be, to the extent of about $1 million. It was about $1.6 million in 2018. We're projecting about $600,000 coming up this year. And we are concerned about the fact that some of that generation, we're still in a position where we have some significant individual generators of that amount, and then there's some concern as far as, those, as we have seen, those can drop off the earth from our standpoint of providing revenue to us, so that's a very precarious revenue source. Good news in this area, the use tax is up. We are hopeful. The one thing about this state, the recent all of this flurry of legislation with sales tax in the state, beginning in the middle of next year, they are intending to put into effect a delivery-based sales tax for internet purchases. Meaning, from my understanding, is that the sales tax, instead of being paid by the retailer at that location that they have, and in the past, for internet sales in the state, the internet retailer collected a use tax, and that would then be distributed per capita like it is now, where we're getting a portion of that. The new implementation in the middle of next year will be based on a delivery point of a particular item that is being delivered over the internet, which is good news for us because this is a town that has a lot of buyers and deliveries, but very few generators of bricks and mortar sales tax. So we haven't projected anything. This is a very unknown type of situation, but hopefully this will result in some benefit to the village from the standpoint of collection of sales tax. The other items, again, there's nothing really out of the ordinary. Property tax is within the truth and taxation limit self-imposed for you. That will be an item later on in the agenda. The total projected revenue for next year is $3,283,700, which is about 10% less than the budget for this year. In the area of expenditures for the general fund, the only item of major interest is a transfer out. We have in the administrative side of $380,000 to the capital projects fund. This would be for the Latwoods Heritage Project. That would be the village portion of that project that has grant money associated with it. So that does increase the administrative expense, administrative department expense by a bit over last year. If you took that out, it would actually be a 3% decrease in that department. Salary, personnel-wise, we don't see it. There are no additional personnel. We are trending about 2.5 to 2.75% increase in the personnel budgets. Police has a sort of a fixed with their contract that they have, and then I'm not going to really specifically talk about the police expenses, I'll let the chief do that if you have questions of him. But those numbers that are in this budget are from his proposal. One other item, we have eliminated the department called drainage expense. We're moved those projected expenditures into road and bridge that were duplicative types of things, line items. So it's one step of trying to simplify the accounting system a little bit. Overall, the anticipated expenditures for the general fund about $3,916,000, which is about a 1.4% increase if you take out that $380,000 capital increase. Obviously, with that capital increase and the reduction in projected revenue, we're looking at about a $632,000 deficit next year. There are no NFT projects planned. The NFT revenue is anticipated to grow about 35%. There are additional revenues coming because of the new taxes that have been levied on that. We are starting to see that this year. In water and sewer, there's no increases in the rates. Our understanding is that Northbrook has indicated to us they're not anticipating raising the rate, and as a rule, you have followed along. If they increase the wholesale rate, you decrease the rate here. We show, like I said, projections for both of those funds to be over revenues to exceed, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, revenues to exceed expenditures prior depreciation. There are some standard smaller items in the water fund and the sewer fund, projected capital expenditures, typical types of small maintenance items. That's really the gist of the major fund. There are some graphs there. The one he has up, I think on the top there, which is the sales tax one, is particularly as illustrative of the types of things and type of activity that's going on here, and the drastic reduction in that. We are working on a projection. There are some things that are going on that we don't have a handle on, and we're trying to get a handle on. Without that, we can't really provide you with good projections. We have a fairly good feel for this next coming year. It's those years beyond 21 and on that we're having a little uncertainty about, to the point where we don't want to make a projection of that beyond that time and then not have it drastically change.
As I mentioned, this is not something that gets voted on because this is a planning document, a roadmap, so to speak. It's not authorizing any spending. And also, the board didn't see these numbers until just this morning at the earliest. And we'll be talking in more detail in January or February when they're available to see if they want to make any changes in the direction we're going or just exactly what we'll do. We could be a little rosier. There's some promises from Springfield that would sound like there might be more revenue coming, but I'm afraid I've been around too long, as has Bob, and I think most of the board, to believe anything from Springfield sending us money until the check's already cleared the bank, let alone getting it. And with the condition in Springfield, frankly, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. So we're trying to plan from the most conservative point of view, which is why we have the good balances that we have now. And so this isn't an emergency, it's just something that has to be looked at and addressed as to where we're going. Are there any questions from the board for Bob? Mike?
So Bob, by the way, thanks. I think it's a great job on analyzing this, but just kind of in summary, when I look at this, if you eliminate the non-recurring items, and if you eliminate the capital expenditures that are anticipated in 2020, it looks like 2019 and 2020 will be very similar in that there will be about a $250,000 deficit.
That's correct. And again,
Go ahead, Bob.
you're familiar, we've talked about the fund balance in the general fund. Just recently, a couple months ago, when we had the auditors, they were talking about the fund balance. We're ending 2019 with $1 million increase in the fund balance. So we certainly can and I've always kind of looked at fund balance, you know, if you want to spend that fund balance on capital projects, that's a very appropriate use of that fund balance. But always you know, you've been fortunate that you haven't recently had to use fund balance to kind of, you know, flex your operating revenues and expenditures, but you could certainly do that in 2020 to the extent that we're talking about the $250,000. But during the year, we need to address 21 and beyond, what's going on there, what our projections are based on that.
And Mike, there's just one more thing I'll give the floor back. Frankly, until about 2 months ago, we thought that we would be break even or maybe a little the other way. This is just trending on us as we're going.
And then the other thing would be that if you amortize the $1.2 million that we received on the one-time sale of cell lease, that would have generated in effect like $90,000 of additional income. So then we really only have a $150,000 deficit.
Yeah.
So you can't disregard that entirely.
Absolutely, and in fact, that's sort of the, up until last week, when we heard from our auditors about how to treat that $1,220,000 that we got. I hadn't recognized it in my mind, okay, but we showed the revenue, we've got it in the bank. I hadn't recognized it in my mind for 2019 yet, and I showed 95,000 in 2019, and I showed 95,000 in 2020 as a revenue source. Well, when we recognized that million this year, that 95 came out, so that, you're right, that exactly did add to the deficit, so to speak. But the million's here, and we don't have to wait for the 95. But that's correct. And you know, this was the uncertainty about that revenue that we were looking at. Typically, that would have been recognized every year, okay, because it's a lease and that type of thing. But particular parts of the agreement that you made with the company, according to conversations between Bruce and the auditors, allowed you have basically, you know, there's no ongoing possibility of giving that money back.
Right.
That's my understanding. So if that's the case, then it's your money right now. So
We were hoping to put it into unearned income and just pull it out 90 to 95,000 a year.
right.
Because that would be more reflective of the reality as it is. Whoever's doing the budget is punished by losing $90,000 in revenue because we sold it for more than the $90,000 was worth. So only around here do you have these things happen when you do a good job.
And you can certainly do that. I mean, in your own, as a rule, you could say, okay, we're going to take that million and kind of set it aside, and we'll take 95,000 out of it. But it won't be revenue, it's going to be fund balance structure, so.
So the bottom line is the fund balance gets better even though we might be showing a negative. And that's the hard part to explain to ourselves and certainly to the public in a simple, understandable way. Because I'm sure you, as I said, we talked to the assistant director of GASB about this. We talked to the auditors, trying to get it where we could take it out 90 at a time and recognize it. And everybody said, no, you can't do that. So, but trying to say, well, the fund balance is growing even though it's a negative, sounds like trickery and some kind of Ponzi scheme, so to speak.
No, I mean,
But I'm not, Bob, I don't mean that. It's a proper way to do
the
it.
recognition of all this revenue now is certainly to your benefit, because now you have flexibility on that money that you don't have, you would not have had. So it's actually a better recognition of that revenue.
Bob, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to imply that there's an accounting principle being used. I'm saying we say, oh gee, it's really better, even though we show a deficit, it sounds like it's a little bit of a shell game if you're not looking at all the numbers, and most people don't have time to go over the numbers, that's all.
Yeah, the only reason I brought it up is because I don't think, the sky is not falling.
No,
Because if we had that 90, then that deficit's really only 150, it's much easier to try and trim costs to come up with $150,000. And so that's really what the reality is from the standpoint of the budget.
right, or finding new taxpayers, for example, Thornton's or something. The smaller the number, the easier it is to close the gap, totally. But it's how you show it and characterize it, and it's not always as simple as I'd love to make it. Because revenue has to be new money from outside, you can't count money you've already got paid, and yet we're taking it out of the bank. I literally put it all in the bank and take it out the bank to put everything down, so not very sophisticated.
Yeah, and I think also for the public that's here, the other part of this is that except for the police fund, police tax, there is no tax. So, we're not taxing our constituents at all, on any level, and all this revenue that comes in is from other sources.
It is, and our property tax, well, we all pay a lot. Most of it doesn't come to the village, and our portion of it is less than half or smaller in relation to our neighbors. Most of our neighbors are charging 3 times as much in relation to your assessed value. This is what we get out of our Sunday dance and say it's all the schools, but they are about 70% of your property tax bill. So, again, are there any questions for Bob? All right, thank you, Bob. Let me ask you now, we have the schedule for next month. What dates are people available for this? Bruce, would you like to have the chief explain his budget? I didn't know that.
I don't need to.
No.
I'm familiar with it.
I wasn't expecting to be explaining the budget, but
These have already been twice the price.
I don't think you need to take it up, unless one of the trustees wants to.
Are we back on the date or on the police budget?
We're back on the date, I
I
think.
think we're
Are
back.
you expecting to do this an hour, hour and a half before a board meeting or on a separate evening?
That's part of what I'd like to figure out, what works for the board. I think in terms of, frankly, often we need to be able to do this as a separate meeting, but I would defer to the board if you want to try to add an extra hour ahead of time. Certainly we could do that, and if we don't get anything resolved or enough resolved, we can have another meeting. So if that's the board's pleasure.
So are you asking us for dates now? Is that what you're?
Basically, yeah. I think now the idea is that we would do it at the, I would say the second meeting, because I know the first meeting is often missing a few people. So the second meeting in January,
21st.
which is the 21st. Okay. Then we move into February, and I'll be missing the first meeting in February. So, as Trustee Hager said, this isn't like the sky is falling, but I don't want to put it up too far. So it's the second meeting in February for everybody?
Second meeting in February?
Yes.
18th.
I'll be out of time. The first meeting in February will be.
But Cheryl won't be here. Rather than taking all of this time tonight, I'll talk with you otherwise. I hope we could maybe move it farther tonight, but obviously we can't. All right, the other information item I had is something that I think everyone was aware of. I included in your packets an article from Britain's Business from about 3 weeks ago. It pointed out that the aquifers are being depleted faster than they're being recharged. Well, this year the shallow aquifers are being recharged because the water is just incredible for what we had last year. The trend still continues, especially for most of the wells that are going down. We are fortunate that we do have access to Lake Michigan water. Approximately half of the village is using it right now. We do have an allocation that is sufficient for our needs for right now. We are limited, though, as to how much water can be taken out. The state of Illinois was subjected to the Supreme Court decision in, I believe, 1967, as to how much water can be removed. So we have to use it or lose it is part of the idea. At the same time, we have to make sure that we aren't wasting it. Talk with the engineer. This is a program we already have going, but we do need to continue to monitor and zealously preserve this right. I know that quite a few people want to keep their wells, but in the 25 years I've been here, Mike, you've been here that long too, I think we both can testify to people that said, oh, I don't need Lake Michigan water, and within 5 years they were here asking for Lake Michigan water, because as they grew farther down on the well, they hit pockets where the sulfur content comes up. So bottom line, we're in good shape on that at least. And it's to be committed, and it should be going forward in the future.
John, you said that the allocation meets our needs now. Would the allocation meet the needs if the whole village was on city water?
I would prefer to Pat, but I believe we still have a large enough cushion on that we should be able to do that.
I don't recall what the number is for the entirety of the village, but right now, we're using about 50% of our allocation, and that allocation is set to go up every 5 years. The concern, of course, is particularly if we continue to not utilize anywhere close to our allocation, at some point the state's going to come back and revisit it. When the Joliets of the world want to get an allocation, where right now they have none, that's going to come out of the communities that aren't using their full allocations. So right now we're fine until the allocation gets revisited.
Would we have enough notice about a potential reduction in allocation that would allow us to possibly change the inducements to go from well to city water, if that was in our interest?
Yeah, it's a years-long process to change the allocations.
Thank you.
Typically, but it's still not.
Well, bad things can happen in a hurry, I think. It's just good things that seem to take forever. All right, then, moving on. Are there any visitors wishing to address the board on a topic that is not on the agenda otherwise? Yes, sir. Would you please come up, the gentleman in the back first. Come up to the podium and identify yourself.
I'm James Gardner. I was a representative.
Could you spell your last name, please? The court reporter, or the village reporter has to take it out, excuse me.
Gardner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a representative from my high school, GHS High School, for my robotics club, I was wondering if I would like to take this opportunity to request a donation for our club, which we're competing in the first tech challenge. I live in Riverwoods, and our Riverwoods population annual club roughly amounts to 10% of the DHS robotics club, and my soon-to-be stepmother, Dr. Paris, is actually one director to it. Unlike many other engineering courses, the robotics club is not a school mandated class, meaning it is not restricted to teaching for a specific test. The hands-on program engages students comparatively to STEM or STEAM courses. And the FTC, which allows students to fail in a safe environment without the academic pressures prevalent in advanced classes. FTC gives students access to learn engineering experience as well as learn many of the necessary components such as CAD, coding, engineering, journal entries, VEX construction, as well as the operation of power tools and other machinery. By supporting DHS robotics, you're enabling a generation of future young adults in the engineering field. The club itself is lacking funding due to its recent formation and priority in the DHS budgets. Currently, the DHS Robotics Club is held at Tier 9 for funding, which means it does not receive any money from our school. And our overall budget to support 3 teams is $10,000. Each participating student contributes $200 in dues, which cover about $1,600 in the budget. The remaining $3,200, which will be covered through the donations and fundraising, which we do on our own. Our donations allow us to buy students when students require them, as well as take part in many youth outreach programs and community events. These community events allow us to promote robotics, which have been held at the Deerfield Farmers Market, the Deerfield Library, DHS, the Knockburn Elementary, as well as the Boy Scouts Troops 50 Step In. We won our first competition, which took place November 16th. Our next competition will be Saturday, this December 6th. A 500 sponsorship donation would be incredibly valuable.
We discussed this morning our donation policy, which has been going on, but obviously looking at our budget issues right now, we're probably reining in a bit. You picked a bad night to be asking. Maybe we should ask you for some more money. That being said, I believe the committee still believe that donations to the school activities, etc., still would be fitting within what we're discussing at least, Mike.
I would just say that if they can be informed about the process for requesting a donation with regard to filling out the form and so on and so forth, then the committee can get together and make a recommendation to the board.
So we will do that. I think without making a prediction, I believe we made a good presentation this evening. So we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting with a recommendation. And I'll get back to you. I think I know how to find you. Yes, of course.
So tell us a little bit about the Robotics Club without reading your notes.
The Robotics Club was founded a couple years back. I think it wasn't too long ago, it was 6 years, but comparatively to the other schools in the club, it's still a pretty early club. In our club, we teach students basically the basics of construction. We actually teach a lot of the similar things in the engineering classes, which, in my opinion, allows them to learn the aspects of engineering without actually having to take up time in their schedule. And also our competitions allow our students to take risks for, like in my experience when I was in past engineering classes, because of deadlines and worrying about academic pressures, we couldn't necessarily take risks on our projects because if the design failed, then we would fail the class. Where as in the DHS robotics, we can take these risks and we can still learn from our mistakes. And we also get to learn from each other. For instance, I'm a junior and I've had a lot of experience in the engineering field, so I'm actually one of the people who teaches the younger kids who are just getting into the club. And through this cycle, we kind of get to teach each other.
How many kids in the club?
We have about 40 students, so I think 10% would be roughly 5 or 4, yes.
So 4 or 5 are from Riverwood, you said?
Yes, including me.
So tell us about Saturday. What's that competition on Saturday?
So right now we are doing our guinea meets. Basically these first meets aren't as important. They're just kind of for everyone to test out their bots, and then we'll be going to state level and higher and higher. Actually last year, the Team Miami, which is in our district, which this area is actually very prevalent in robotics, actually went up to globals, which is pretty crazy. But this next competition we are going to is actually held at our school. It's just a minor competition. We have 3 minor competitions that are for ranking until we actually get into the higher level competitions where people will be dropped out or raised.
Great. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Well, again, let me echo on behalf of the rest of the board, Trustee Peters, wishes for good luck We're all very proud of all of the Deerfield High School students, especially those from Riverwoods and certainly those in your club. So we'll talk to you during the week. We'll get the forms filled out, and if we think we'll get it worked out. There was someone else, I believe, wishing to address the board, too.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Gordon, Gordon. I'm a village resident. I'm a physician. To your point, Mayor Norris, these comments regarding something that was not already on the agenda, my understanding is that there will be some discussion regarding the marijuana and whether or not Riverwoods would be having something. So is this the appropriate time for me to speak to that?
That is otherwise on the agenda, so that would be the more appropriate time.
Okay, if I wait till then?
Well, okay, and I was just going to say to the board, since I believe everyone else here is interested in speaking on that topic, that if I may, without objection, I will move forward item F for old business to handle that now instead of doing it toward the end of the meeting. And with that, I will ask you to relinquish the podium because Dr. Susan Sirota had asked for time to be able to address the board this evening.
Absolutely.
So we'll call you back after that. But Dr. Sirota had asked for time. She'll have more than a roll of 3 minutes.
I need to jump in and make one clarification. So the Mayor and I were working on the agenda last week. It was a short week, and we had 2 ordinances. I just realized before under old business, we passed one of them for the last meeting. The one that we left on the agenda was the one we passed. The materials in the packet actually have ordinance. So just so as anyone was discussing what's on the agenda, the ordinance that's in the packet is one that would amend the text of the Riverwood zoning ordinance pertaining to cannabis dispensaries and certain uses under the mixed-use plan development regulations. The ordinance we passed the last meeting allowed a wellness store, health and wellness store, to go to import. The ordinance that is left to consider isn't about going to import at all, it's just a text amendment. Because of the glitch on the agenda, I would suggest out of caution that we wait to act on the second reading of the ordinance until January. Sorry about that. I just didn't realize we were doing, not that it would affect any of the discussion tonight, but technically we're supposed to pass things that are properly shown on the agenda, and I'm
Okay, well, I'm certainly not going to preclude anyone from speaking this evening. I apologize to those of you who came to find out what the final vote would be, but under the Open Meetings Act, we're required to post on an open agenda, post on the website, etc., what will be on the agenda. And if we listed the incorrect item, then this could all be moved, and we really don't want to have to go through it again. Whichever side you may be on, whichever side loses, will be likely to come back and attack it, and we might have to reopen it. So you'll get to have your say tonight. You can hear where the board is, and perhaps get a sense of things, but I apologize to you. It is an unfortunate error that we did not capture the correct information. With that, let me introduce Dr. Susan Sirota. She is a Riverwoods resident, and she will explain her credentials in more detail, but she is a physician with some knowledge in this area. She contacted me and asked for the ability to address the board as well as the plan commission on this particular issue. And given that there's some degree of controversy, I certainly believed it was appropriate that we have as accurate information as we could from any source. She is the only authority on either side that has asked for special permission to address the board. So she's the only one that's going to get the extra time. Everybody else will be limited to approximately 3 minutes. Dr. Sirota.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Susan Sirota. As you heard, I'm a Riverwoods resident for some time. I'm a pediatrician. I've practiced in the community with offices in Vernon Hills and Highland Park, Pediatric Partners for the last 25 years. My faculty appointment is at Northwestern Feinberg School of Medicine, where I teach pediatrics to medical students in their 3rd year, and I also teach pediatric residents at Bird Children's Hospital. I chair the Marijuana Committee for Stand Strong Coalition, which is the prevention coalition surrounding the Stevenson community. So I'm in the part of Riverwoods that goes to the Stevenson district. I've raised 3 kids in this community. So I want to talk about and try to move quickly some of the health consequences of marijuana access were to be in Riverwoods. And I want to point out that my perspective is really that of my expertise, which is the impact on youth. So this is the pediatric perspective. So simply put, more access means more use. Less access means less use when it comes to marijuana. What was seen in Colorado was that there was a 42% increase in adult use in 8 years since recreational marijuana was available. And in fact, if you look at the American Academy of Pediatrics marijuana policy statement, it makes very clear that an increase in availability to adults, even with restrictions, will increase access to youth. I also want to point out, and this is sort of timely when the chief talked about 5 DUIs, that most states that recreationalize marijuana, you'll see the majority of communities opt out, somewhere around 70%. What that does lead to, and this fits great segue, less tax revenue than is anticipated from marijuana, but certainly additional marijuana traffic for those communities that adopt it. The traffic often is associated with more DUIs, but also a less safe environment for children. More local use will also lead to more local health and safety consequences, more demands on our emergency services. And as there's more THC in the drug, there are more consequences for youth use. And you're probably aware, if you've reviewed the law in Illinois, that there are no THC limits on the drugs that are sold in Illinois. The impact of access was best shown recently in June when the RAND Corporation published this study. And they looked at about 2,000 teens, youth, and what they showed that those who lived within 4 miles of a marijuana dispensary were significantly more likely to use marijuana. And if those dispensaries had storefront signage,